Welcome to Big Man 101. Class is in session and I'm going to talk about everything that you need to know as a big man, do's and don'ts, but this is the first class, so of course we got to start with the builds, man. Everything starts with the builds. So we're going to go over the build that I have. I'm going to show y'all some other builds with other strengths and weaknesses that we're going to break down here on this channel. And then of course, if you like this series, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, and definitely let me know what y'all think about the builds and the things that I'm gonna show y'all right now in Big Man 101. All right, let's get right into the video. All right, man, so this is my first build, the first 7-1 build that I made, and I made it to play the center of a 2-3 / just guard the other big man on the other team. Now, this build does come with certain issues. As you can see on this build, I don't have any ball handle, I don't have perimeter defense, no steal, offensive rebound is low. Now that's a few different things that mistakes that I made on my build that I'm trying to prevent y'all from making in the future, man. So I'm gonna show y'all a few different versions of the same build, things that build are better at or worse at than my build. Like for example, I don't think you need all that block. All the block is kind of overrated, man. So you're not gonna get a ton of blocks anyway. You may get 4, 5, maybe if you have a crazy game with people just taking up crazy stuff going right at you, but more often than not you won't need all that block. So I'm gonna show you a revised version of this same build. 7-1, you know, 92 defensive rebound, probably not. I really think this year more than anything, because people throwing up all of those bricks, you will need to have a higher offensive rebound than a defensive rebound, just because that's how the game is played now. Everybody has a higher offensive rebound than a defensive rebound. For one, the build comes out a little bit cheaper that way, and I can show y'all an example of that. And just to show you that thing that I was talking about, the difference between offensive and defensive rebound, offensive is a little bit cheaper. So here we're gonna go to a 94 on the offensive rebound and an 85 on the defensive rebound. And you'll see it comes up as a 61 overall already, and you've only done your rebounding. You got to think about how these things are going to play out. And of course, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to switch it up. We're going to take the defensive, put that to a 94, and put the offensive to an 85, man. And when you do that, you see it becomes a 62. It's more expensive to have that higher defensive rebound than your offensive. So this is the first build we're going to be taking a look at, man. The Versatile Enforcer. I feel like that is a dope name for this build because of all the things that it can do. But on this build, there's different things for different playstyles. So if this isn't your playstyle, you would have to choose a different one, man, because you got to choose one that matches your playstyle. Any build is good if it matches your playstyle. Now, this build does have a lot of finishing, but it still has a 3-ball with that 83 3-ball, and that 83 3-ball does get you limitless range on bronze. And the thing about having a 7-1 versus a 7-foot, on 7-1, that bronze badge is in tier 2. So that's probably one of the pluses of being 7-1, but being 7-1, you're a little bit slower. To break this build down a little bit more, the pass accuracy is a little lower, so those break starter passes, like those super long passes, you can still make them. Don't get me wrong, you can still make them because you do have break starter on silver, but they're a little riskier. So if you play with a squad, or you know, just try to get somebody to stay back pretty much every time, this build does have a little bit more speed. The offensive rebound is a little higher, so it is something that's viable for you to do. You can actually crash the glass on that end, and with all of the finishing that we do have on this build, you will be able to put the ball right back up, turn your layup timing off. That's just a little tip. If you get a dunk, you get a dunk, but more times than not, you will end up with a layup or a close shot. So we got an 87 close shot. The driving layup is only a 62. But like I said, turn that timing off, you'll make those pretty much every time. The interior defense on this build is an 82. That's decent. That does get you post lockdown on silver. The block only went with 84 because I feel like block rating is really expensive, and what you get, it really isn't worth it, man. Just play hands up defense, and remember the little trick with hands up defense. If you have your hands up and they pump fake, you will jump. So just keep that in mind, man. That's one of those things you can put your hands not down necessarily, but hold the right stick down, and you can still get that same contest without the possibility of jumping. The strength is decent. The vertical is very high. So I went with a very high vertical on this build specifically to make sure that I can get even more rebounds. But all right, man, let's get into the second build. And for the next build, I even got a little bit of gameplay, man. This is my master build, a build that is down there, the big Shaq. I did everything that you see from a lot of these cheesy centers out here. I made a build to do just that. I mean, I get offensive boards, get my team second chances. You just got to make sure when you make a build like this that you're not just clogging up the paint, that you're actually moving, you're setting off-ball screens, you're setting on-ball screens, you're kind of getting a little bit of everything so you can get the ball out and actually get your team second chances, man, because these offensive rebounds are easy to get. Look at that. Dominant post-scoring build. But all right, man, let me show y'all the actual build itself. And here is the actual build. It comes out with a 95 standing dunk. That's probably one of the most important things I feel like on this build, because if you can get that meter to happen consistently, you're going to go absolutely crazy with it. I can't get it to happen consistently yet. And for this build, because I have a 91 close shot, I actually did turn the layup timing back on. You just release them at the top, man. It's really not that hard to do. Offensive rebound, I got a 96. Defensive rebound, I only got an 81. But I know y'all probably talking about that 81. But listen, bro, with an 81, you can still get busy on the defensive rebound. You just have to make sure you box out, because you don't want to get into a jumping match with a lot of these builds. You want to make sure that you can put a body on somebody, get between them and the ball, and actually go get the ball yourself. It does have a 69 speed. It doesn't feel slow, especially not against a lot of other defending center builds. It doesn't feel slow to me. But the one improvement that I did make on this build, I dropped the pass accuracy. I'm still able to throw dots. I still get that silver break starter. As you'll see right here, I get that silver break starter. Definitely works. Definitely something that I feel like is good enough. Last year, I feel like 75 was kind of iffy for a big man, but it works. But I do have perimeter defense. Now, I feel like that is probably the biggest change of this build and pretty much all the other builds I'm going to show you. The perimeter defense, man. I get a movable enforcer on bronze. I feel like that is a W for a badge. The agility, not too bad on the build. Got a 57. You won't get much of that as a center. The 91 strength, I feel like, is needed for that gold brick wall because, and along with the gold brick wall, of course, we got Hall of Fame Rise Up. I feel like that's probably the best part about this build. Hall of Fame Rise Up is absolutely insane. Like I said, once you master the dunk stick, you'll get even better, and that's just a learning process. But with the close shot, I did get Paint Prodigy on silver, and I know I was 1 point away from getting it on gold, but I'm gonna work on getting it on gold. That's easy to get. I'm gonna work on that. With my cap breakers, probably what I'm gonna hit is to make sure I can get that Paint Prodigy on gold, and it makes scoring in the paint a lot easier, man. The badges this year are what make the build. If you can get any badge higher, go ahead and do that thing. I'm gonna just wait till I get the cap breakers. I mean, I know I'm a little while away. I think I'm about to hit starter 1 here soon, probably tomorrow. But from what I've seen this year, I'm gonna just tell you right now, inside centers, inside mashers, paint mashers, big defenders are back in the game, dog. They're back in the game, and they're actually useful because everybody can't shoot. Now, a later patch may make that invalid, but I don't think so. If you're a skilled inside big, you can get away with not shooting a great percentage, but you do have to have some moves in your bag. You have to have, post spins. You have to be able to drop step. You got to be able to hit the hook shot. And I'm not even great with the hook shot, but I can hit it at a decent clip. I'm not trying to cheese it. I'm just getting buckets, man. So that's just something to think about when you're making these center builds. I definitely feel like that's a route you can go without really screwing over your team much. Now with randoms, that may be a little bit harder to do, but just one tip for this build, make sure you're always looking for that box out. Make sure you're always looking for that box out. On defense, on offense, get a body on somebody, box somebody out. And I'll go over the settings that I use in a second. So I'll run with it on 15 just to make sure that the AI isn't actually controlling my player. As a center, it's your primary objective to rebound, no matter what kind of center you actually are. So I put that on 15. I run to the biggest guy, press L2. I'm not really seeing a lot of worm moves this year unless there's a huge difference in either strength or rebounding. So with that being said, just make sure you box somebody out. If somebody's already standing in the paint boxing out, try to run around them a little bit. You never really know where the ball is going to bounce if you don't have like your full shot timing feedback on for all shots. So if you don't have that on and you don't know where the ball is going to bounce, try to run around the player. Like, don't just run into a box out. Like, try to run to somewhere else, or at least don't connect with their box out. So while you're running in to get that rebound, you actually have a chance of getting it. And here we got a center for the more do-it-all players, all-around center that can do a little bit of everything, man. This is a two-way, three-level playmaker. And with that being said, this build is 7-1. Everybody knows, and in case you don't know, 7-1s are probably the best bigs that you can have on this game. but they are a little slow most of the time. So to not be slow, you're gonna drop that weight, get that speed up, drop that wingspan so you can get more three. But this build does come with its flaws as well. But this build does have an 80 driving dunk, an 85 standing, 86 post control. I feel like if you're gonna make an inside big, if you're gonna make a big that you plan on finishing in the paint on, 86 is the absolute lowest you should go on post control. You gotta get that silver unpluckable, of course. That's something you're gonna want as a big. But then this one also comes with the Hall of Fame post fade phenom. Get your post fades down. If you are a shooting big, one of the easiest shots on the court outside of maybe the hook shot. The hook shot's pretty easy, man. I can't lie. Hook shot's pretty easy, and layups with timing offer dummy proof. I'll say the post fade is pretty OP, man. But this build does come with a 70 ball handle. You already got that silver unpluckable, so you can actually put the ball on the floor. This build is going to be fast compared to a lot of other centers. I'm seeing a lot of really slow-footed centers out there. So that 55 speed ball is gonna come in handy. 82 perimeter interior defense, only got a 40 perimeter, 38 steal. Don't reach in the lanes, man. Let's just like one of those where, you know, you kind of can get a body steal. I would say don't reach. That 93 block is pretty good. This build is pretty close to my other one. You know, a low offensive rebound, so it's kind of tough to get those. I'm not gonna lie. Like if you don't have like a 75-ish, it's pretty tough to get those O boards. But the defensive rebound is an 85, so this is more like that Wemby type of build. So speed is 70. Strength is an 85. If you're one of those players that don't think strength is that important, I think that's something that you could like look at potentially. I think strength is really important, especially on bigs, because if you play against somebody that's strong, you're gonna get baby down there. I'm just keep it a buck with you. You're gonna get baby down there. If you run against my Shaq build, I will baby you. But all right, so then we got the vertical at an 82. Pretty decent vertical. I would say 80 probably unlocks the most explosive plays. You know what I'm saying? Once you get to 80, the game changes for you a little bit on the rebounding end. I did go higher on the vertical for this one. Now this one right here comes out as a defensive anchor. This build is 6'11", so that's gonna give you a little more speed if you want to be like a slightly faster center. I do feel like this one can get the job done, especially for those people who plan on being masters. But the one thing I will say about this build, it does not have as high of close shot. I would say for, you know, those non-high close shot builds, go ahead and turn the timing off, man. Especially close shots, layups, turn the timing off. This build can dunk like crazy. Even if you don't have contact dunks, you can still use the meter. I just want y'all to know that. I was doing it last year successfully on a small point guard that only had like, I think it was like 75 or 70 driving dunk. I didn't try it this year, but I will say last year, even on builds that don't have a high driving dunk, you can still do that dunk meter. This build does come with the perimeter defense. I feel like this build is a little bit better than the shooting bigs, man. I'm not gonna lie. If you can actually shoot, which I know a lot of people are struggling to do this year, then a shooting big is going to be better for you. But if you're having trouble shooting, consider making one of these mashing type builds because they can do a lot. Now for the rebounding on this, I actually went high on both, but I went higher on the offensive rebound. I went at 94. Make sure we get that Hall of Fame box out, gold rebound chaser. But one thing I will tell you, that if you're going to go high with the rebound, make sure you can cap break your build to a 99 rebound, because that cap breaker is going to change everything for you. You're going to be able to do a lot more once you get that cap breaker. Once you get a legend badge, you're going to be going crazy. I only have it on silver on my Shaq build, rebound chaser. Only got it on silver, like, because I haven't played a ton with the build yet, but it's decent. And I went with an 85 on the defense rebound. You'll be good there. The speed, we got a 72. Strength, we got an 89. That's something that after you hit a cap breaker, that may be something you look at. I would say maybe the second one, so later in the year, because you don't want to not get that offensive rebound at 99. I feel like that is a game changer. Make everything different for you. And we got a 78 vertical, which is decent. You know what I'm saying? You're not really going to be missing anything in the vertical department. And one thing I will say about this high flying denier, if you have your tier 2 max +1, go ahead and put it on a high flying denier, man. That gold badge will help you get some of those chase downs that you're probably missing out on right now with silver. And for the last build of the video, this is just to wrap it up. The 6'10" build, I do feel like can be decent. You know, this build doesn't have great finishing stats, but if you're one of those stretch fives, this build is pretty solid. Like, it does have a decent shot. That 79, you will be able to hit with it. I've seen people hit with, I mean, and I'm talking consistently, as low as a 73. But I mean, you won't be amazing unless you unless you get down that rhythm shooting. If you get down rhythm shooting, I truly feel like you can shoot with probably anything. I'm gonna test that later on my Shaq build to kind of see if I can hit a shot if I use rhythm shooting. I mean, because it seems easy because it throws your timing out of the window. It gives you some very clear visual cues. Just pick a good jump shot where you see that load up for the set point very easily, and I feel like you'll be good. The pass accuracy on this build I did kind of go crazy with. That 87 gets you gold break starter, and I do feel like gold break starter this year is really good. I'm not throwing a lot of balls out of bounds once I get the ball on the defensive rebound. When I throw the ball down the court, it's not going out of bounds on this. Like, I won't say ever, because it will happen, but for the most part, it really won't. Bailout is huge for a big man if you can get it. I'm not saying you have to prioritize trying to get it. I only went with the 77 interior defense on this build, but we do get that gold paint patroller and bronze post lockdown. Now, me personally, I like to have at least silver on this because there are a lot of post scorers out there, and if you want to be able to stop them, you will need at least that 88-ish interior defense. Pretty much how I see it is your interior defense has to be higher than their close shot or their standing dunk, which is a pretty tall task. And I actually played against a build with 94 interior, and that did make a huge difference, man. I was not able to get such easy buckets on. Went with that 93 block, get all those gold badges. We do get high flying denier because this build has a little more speed on it. But now that you've seen all of these builds and we kind of went over some of the attributes you should be looking at as a big man, let me know what y'all think about the video down in the comment section, man. I plan on doing this series a little bit more, kind of making sure I go over post moves, so big man offense, big man defense, and some like different things you can look at as a center to like kind of improve your game, man. I definitely want to continue to do this, so make sure y'all support, hit that like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, thanks for 5K. I know I said it in the previous video, but just trust me, I still appreciate it. But I will catch y'all boys in the next one. It's your boy Don, and I'm up out here. Before you get up out here, do me a favor, man. Make sure you like the video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll catch y'all boys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.